Please don't. Hello, I'm back. Now, I got taken off because I was playing music that is written by somebody else. And so they have taken and probably blocked everything that was in my video. But I happen to have a very good reason why it was blocked. Probably because there was some content I was speaking on that, they don't want to talk about, and you're not allowed to talk about it right now. It's not talk aboutable. It's not something that we're allowed to express freely at this moment in time because it's such fresh, what do you call it? Fresh subject matter. It's actually very old, and very confusing, and it's not minuscule and it's not trivial. It's very difficult to speak on because it's so crazy to say it out loud that, in a vision I had of the future, the churches were burning. They were. And you had nurses of Armageddon, and the nurses were there to, I guess, treat the shock that was happening and the mass suicides that were going to occur therein after. The terminology that's the text that are in the Septuagint that Dr. Eamon Hillman is talking about, and yeah, he's a doctor. He got his doctorate in bacterialism or something like that. He's a classicist. This guy supposedly, like right now, it's to me, it's all up for debate because this man has I can't read the Greek Bible. I cannot read the Septuagint. I will have to do that in order to have a firm standing opinion about what he has translated of our history of Jesus, of our history of all these things that are being professed on YouTube and all over YouTube, on Danny Jones' podcast, the podcast that has Dr. Eamon's story where he's very mature, and his presentation shouldn't be taken lightly. It should actually be looked at with an open mind and with a more firm standing that we have as much reason and purpose as a paperclip. And with that being said, what I mean to say is that if a paperclip has all these different purposes that you can use a paperclip for, then why is it so hard to believe that we have some ancient goddamn origin and some celestial fucking magical equation that goes on like a clock, and it's cyclical? It's cyclical, man. We have our periods every month, don't we, ladies? Right? The moon does its thing every month, right? The tide's going to go up and down all the time. So why not on a proximity community type thing, like if ants have a personality. If ants have a personality, there's the queen with her big bulging body giving, all these ant larvae and stuff. And then you got the ones that come and take the larvae. Right? Do you think they don't have talk among themselves and they're just and they're bitching about their shit, and that's their dharma, if you will. That's their dharma. So we have a proximity thing going on with us too. So many different of us is going to be these different deities placed in our ego, into our personality types, or the spirit or soul of our personalities per life that we pass, because our past lives are what we were in this life too, I'm not 12 anymore, but that's a past life of mine. When I was 12, I might have been shy and quiet, very, very quiet, whatever, But then as I aged, I got more angsty. When I turned 15, I was ready to vandalize cars and piss on graves. I mean, hail Satan, all that. But then there was the eras that I went through, the losing my grandmother, moving on towards having a child, opening Pandora's box in that way. And then, having a man in my life who had the same birthday as I, 17 letters in both of our names. We both had a brother named Jeremy. And then we both had a daughter together whose birthday was one day and 4 years from my daughter that he raised with me, Elijah. And we had these babies, and then we had another baby, and then we had some time go by, and we had our family for a while, and then we were separated by prison and DCF. DCF came and adopted my children out no matter how hard I fought. They took them, and they gave them to families who took them to Disney World, who bought them things that they wanted, anything they wanted, they could have, everything. They had restaurants that would put their names on the fucking menu, okay? Anything to keep the mother and father out of implementing the mother and father who have the unconditional love and the instilling of the family traditions that my family and my lineage would pass down to my children. God forbid I couldn't even talk. I didn't get to talk to my girls about their periods. I didn't get to be there for them when they started their periods. And this isn't because I was not a good mother. There was something happening there with taking the matriarch out of the families, taking that matriarch installation out of our future of that generation, because so many children were taken at the time when mine were. And this is statistics. If you look, every person that I knew in Bay County, they had taken their children from them, whether they were on drugs at the time or not. They ended up being on drugs. So next thing you know, after they take these children from these mother and father who are trying their best to survive, who are the children that were raised in the 60s, okay? We're talking the LSD children, the Jimi Hendrix children, the Jim Morrison, Led Zeppelin children, okay? We're talking about those children are my parents, like my mother was the youngest of 6 kids, and the grandchildren lived there too, and they lived in a little bitty house in Alabama, whole Alabama, and a tiny little fucking house where the whole family was raised by my grandmother, because my grandfather was gone to war. He was in the war. So my mother and father had dads who were in the war, so they had PTSD going on because they both saw a lot of death. And those are my parents' upbringing. So they had all their fucking shit. And then all of us about this age, they took our babies from us. And some of these women and men may have not been good parents, and maybe I wasn't. I'm not going to say that it didn't save them from something that I couldn't see, but I honestly feel like it was a deliberate scheme by the government and the higher ups to create a society where these children didn't have the matriarch, and to take that from the mothers who did love their children, like the ones who actually didn't do drugs when they were pregnant, me, breastfed them, me, oh my gosh, anything you could think of to be the perfect teacher, daycare worker, aunt, sister, mom, friend, imaginary friend, tooth fairy. I was that for my children, and they took this from them. And guess what? As they turned 18, they have come home, and they're damaged. My children are damaged. And now I have to come in and hope that I am good enough to take back what was mine in the first place, which was my children. Now the fucking Bay County, Florida, just has these stupid people come up to your door and knock on it so politely and say, hi, we heard that you, they heard that I what? Okay, thank you. You may have heard that. Does that mean that you get to come in and abduct my children for 13 fucking years? Yeah, that's what the fuck it means. It means they get to abduct my children for 13 years and do whatever they want to them and to groom them to want this, because that's what they wanted after 3.5 years of Brantley Park and Teresa Jordan and my lawyer. I knew more than her. She just was lucky she smelled like Dolce & Gabbana, you know. So I'm doing all these things that they want me to do. Even went to prison for a crime I did not commit, but because I'd never been in trouble, I plead out. Here's the perfect candidate. Let's take these babies from this girl right here, because she needs to be knocked off her pedestal a little bit. Because I was a proud, strong, confident, intelligent mother who had survived years and years of abuse and strange upbringings and screaming and yelling and poverty and roaches and fucking dad hate my mom to kill her and all the names I was called because I look like my mother. And if anybody wants to say anything about me going live and speaking on this, I can't stop it. So they take the matriarch out of the family and take it out of our fucking religion as well. We don't worship the matriarch. We don't have the woman instilled into we worship the Vatican type Christian Catholic stuff. We're thinking about the man all the time. And it's not even that it's a man. It's the divine masculine. And then there's the divine feminine. There's the Sophia. And there's the Mia. Mia was taken away. That is the nature of mother. Okay? Even as a girl, nature of mother is there. From birth. From birth, I knew I was going to be a mother, a creator. How dare them do that? So what's the counteract now? The counteract is to let nature do its course. And when we have these sovereignistic rebels that are coming and growing up from this DCF situation and these group homes and this pedophilia and the raping and the deliberate shunning that they do. As soon as my girl turned 18, they told her she wasn't part of the family anymore, and she had to leave on the day she turned 18. Javen, my daughter, the day she turned 18, she was no longer welcome in their home. And you know what they do when they finalize anything? Which I never signed anything. They just throw you out into the clutches of Panama City, Florida. No bereavement classes, no grieving. There's no bonding to other parents who lost their children from DCF2, because we're all confused. Like, I wasn't on meth before. Did I start doing it after? Yeah. Fuck yeah, I did. Because I didn't have a place to live, so I didn't have to sleep if I was on meth. But didn't have to eat anything because I wasn't hungry, so I wouldn't have to worry about food. I could walk for fucking days. Because I wouldn't really have anywhere to be, you know? And I was scared of everyone. And people were following me. I even had a Jesus freaking experience, man. I had all of the psychosomatic things that they do, that they talk about. They all happened to me. The Truman fucking complex, you know, the Truman Show complex. Like, let me be blunt. If you go into my old Facebook, the one that I had when I was going through my case, you can like read what I was what I was posting was elaborate paragraphs of just distress. And, you know, like, look at me. Look at this. This was a a mother that was once so naive to think that nothing could ever take my child. But no offense, I'm not racist, but I always thought I had to protect them from being kidnapped, but I never, ever, ever imagined that it would be from my government or from, plain dress clothes people. I thought it would be from some underground, like, fucking Mexicans. I mean, I'm just being honest. I mean, that's how sheltered I was and how, naive I was, that I thought I had to protect them from Mexicans. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to say that about anybody, but those are old worldviews that I had. In a past life, the person that I am now is not who my children know. Like, my children loved her. I'm not her. I'm not her. I'm not mommy. I'm something else now. And she died. Their mother died. And I'm the one that they're here with now, and they died. So there's this deep connection that we have, and it's got to be written out to their 18. There's been just nobody talks about it. They just let it ride. They just let it slide under the radar, and then they use this community surveillance crap where they like to taunt you and block you from getting jobs because you still have addiction problems. They won't want to medicate you if you mention what the medication that you would like that works for you, because you've tried everything and you're an intelligent person, that you've researched and read, and you know what chemicals work for your body, Don't we know what chemicals work for our bodies? Like, I used to smoke weed. It worked for a time. I can't do that anymore. My body's all wrong. I don't drink because it hurts the next day and I feel like shit. And I get really fucking drunk, and it's worthless. I mean, I'm not a dummy to what the government's doing. They're taking the matriarch out of the families. And when they strip that from the family, they're taking it from me as well. I was supposed to be my grandmother. I was supposed to be that. They killed that. Think about it. My grandmother, when she was alive, everybody was a part of it. We all came around. The whole family, we came around. We celebrated every holiday. We moved states together because my grandmother was the fucking rock. They took that from me. I'll never be that, and I was supposed to be that. It's something that is very, very... Like, if any of you have anything to say about me, just know that it's falling on deaf ears if you're thinking I'm going to cry. That's all I got to say. Thank you. I'll do a part 2 soon. Thanks, guys.